So if those of you who follow my Twitter may have noticed, I went to i71 last year. And where i61 was good, i63 was better, i65 was even better, and i69 was different, but still good. i79 was also different, but also still good. The biggest change this time around was that I got a LAN ticket instead of just a weekend ticket. This was basically because I was getting in earlier than usual, and I wouldn't have been able to hang out with friends in the hall otherwise. Initially, I wasn't really planning on bringing anything to set up. My rationale was that I was probably going to be out with friends in the expo and around Birmingham for most of the weekend, and wasn't really interested in sitting and playing on a PC. I could just do that at home, you know? Again, I mainly just wanted to get in so I could sit with friends and potentially watch them game. It wasn't until I got into the LAN hall with my friend Nighty right as it opened and watched as he and many others around me unpacked and set up their PCs that I decided, actually, you know what, I kind of want to do this as well. As luck would have had it, I was able to get a last-minute rental PC, and for a little bit cheaper than if I'd booked it prior as well. The performance wasn't as good as my PC back home, and the slightly heavier wired mouse took a bit of getting used to, since I normally use a very light wireless one. But messing around in TF2 in a big hall next to friends was a ton of fun. As for where we stayed this year, we did pretty much the same thing as last time. Same hotel, same easy to access monorail, same monorail music. A group we were with ended up getting a fancy hotel suite in a hotel that was even closer to the venue as well. Oh yeah, we also had a heatwave during the event, so that was not fun. I forget how hot it was exactly, but it was around 30 degrees Celsius, which is hot for England. Luckily, it was nice and air conditioned in the venue, especially in the LAN hall. But getting onto that monorail was like getting into an oven. You'd head back to the hotel to shower and freshen up, and then immediately just get all sweaty again. Anyway, on to my favourite part of these Insomnia videos. Highlights for this year include, but are not limited to, the many cursed panoramas that were created over the weekend. Getting to take part in this year's pub quiz. It was a ton of fun and ended up turning into a sing-along at the end. Watching dumb YouTube videos in a big fancy hotel suite. The big fancy hotel suite itself. There was a TV in the bathroom mirror. Crying with laughter in the hotel lobby, listening to slowed down farting and screaming noises. Tormenting Baggy by saying mushroom and various deep rock galactic lines as we walked to the monorail. Playing poker in the hotel lobby. Watching Peter attempt to speedrun a secret stage in iSupply's game. The TF2 cosplays. I sadly didn't see or get pictures of all of them, but I did at least get this one. We were surprised to see that Uncle Dane himself had teleported in, even if he then went on to chew the internet cables in the LAN hall. And last, but certainly not least, getting to play in a casual TF2 tournament. It was a very, very last minute thing, but me, Baggy and Pope were able to squeeze in and play a few games. We won our first game, but sadly lost the second, which was probably for the best, as it was nearly 3 PM by that point, and many of us hadn't eaten since breakfast. Still, it was a lot of fun, and even though we ended up losing, the games were very close. As far as merchandise went this year, I had a good look around, but sadly wasn't able to find anything TF2 related. Nor was I able to find anything related to Mob Psycho 100 or Trigun, which I got into last year. Apparently, even when I get into things that are popular, I'm still cursed to never be able to find anything related to them out in the wild. Back to eBay for me, I guess. Technically, there was a Mega Man mystery box and some Mob Psycho prints, but the box had the same things in it as it did back at i65, other than the Funko Pop being different. And the prints were just official art and would have gotten all bent up in my backpack anyway, so you know, whatever. Back at the start of the video, I mentioned that this year was different to years past, and I'd say the biggest and most obvious reason for that was because of the date changes. Summer Insomnias, for at least as long as I've been attending them, have always been on the bank holiday weekend at the end of August. Last year, however, as you might have noticed, it happened in early September instead. I won't go into the whys of it all, but it did throw a bit of a spanner into the works. Hotel prices went up due to the autumn fair. People weren't able to get time off work since it was no longer on a bank holiday weekend. And I imagine a lot of people coming in from outside of the UK were now facing a huge hassle in terms of rearranging flights, on top of the things I previously mentioned. Put simply, a lot of people weren't able to make it for I71, and I think the aspect that this impacted the most were the TF2 finals. I won't sugarcoat it, it was a complete and utter steamroll. As far as I can tell, the teams that were supposed to fly in ended up not attending due to the date changes. This, coupled with the finals being on Saturday instead of the usual Sunday, along with the start time clashing with the Darkroom event that many people in my group had already bought tickets for, meant that what was usually a fun spectacle and the culmination of the weekend ended up being a bit of a wet fart. Especially compared to the I65 finals, which were also a bit of a roll, but were still an amazing experience. And also the reason I got into King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. The I71 finals still had fun moments, of course, such as the crowd going wild every time the underdogs gained even the slightest advantage. But I won't lie, the guys who ended up going to the dark room instead of watching the finals didn't really miss anything, especially with the internet going down not long after the finals ended. Oh well, there's always next year. Despite Saturday night being a bit of a bust, the event itself was still a ton of fun, as always. I say this in every Insomnia video, but it bears repeating. I go to these events to see and hang out with my friends, and get to know people better, who I've previously only spoken with a few times. The TF2 stuff is an added bonus, and though it feels as though it's faded into the background over the last few years, it'll always be what brings us all together. I'm endlessly grateful to this game for letting me meet all these wonderful, if smelly, people, and it's always going to have a special place in my heart. Insomnia's future is uncertain at the time of me recording this voiceover, and yes, it did take me this long to get around to working on the video. Whatever happens, I'll always have fond memories of these events and all the people I've met because of them, and I'll always be so glad that I decided to attend I61 with the old Blapature crew way back in 2018. It was a last minute decision, made completely on a whim, but it pretty much changed my life.